Peace, family. Welcome to Broken Theory. Today we got the homie Granola. Granola, what up?
Yo, what's up? How you doing?
I appreciate you making some time, man.
Thank you, bro. I really appreciate it just the same. Thank you.
Hey, where are you from? Where are you based out of?
Yep, I'm a spitter Salt Lake City MC. So I'm coming out of Salt Lake City, Utah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's what's up, man. I see that you going on tour recently. Talk about
Yeah,
that
man.
process and like, is this your
Sure.
first tour or?
Yeah. So I got added on to a tour, kind of like a special appearance kind of thing for two stops for Conway's SFK tour. His most recent tour he's on right now, or just starting. Yeah, really crazy opportunity, man. It just kind of fell into my lap. I had planted seeds and obviously put in a lot of years of work. And it's just really cool to now see my career kind of breaking over the hump and starting to have doors and opportunities open to me that I guess I hadn't set myself in position to open up before.
Mm-hmm. Nah, I mean that's really dope when you could even see it unfolding like that. Because I'm sure that now going into your relationships and different, maneuvering around this industry, you kind of maneuvering it differently. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
just seeing all of
absolutely.
that.
Well, and everyone, I think all artists have a intrinsic value that, or at least I do, that I've padlocked inside me. You know what I mean? Like I
Yeah,
know what I want to give to the world, and I know the value that I've put in and created for that. And so when you have industry cats that you look up to, you listen to their music, validate that effort, and what might to you have just seemed like little steps. I mean, it's all just perspective. It's big moves to someone else. So yeah, man, it was really cool to have the validation to know that okay, my craft is at this point where I can have these opportunities, I can make these moves and feel confident about them.
mm-hmm. Yeah, because once you're making those moves, man, like it just all goes up from there. You know what I mean? Like it just speaks wonders on the craft. Um, let's talk about your most recent project.
Yep.
What was the
So my most
process like making that?
Yeah, thank you. So it's kind of interesting with my most recent project. It's called Outside the Norm. It's on all DSPs right now. It's actually my first debut album. I recorded this 6 years ago, doing some summer sales in, shoot, where was I? In the down south. So this project's actually really old, and I've kept working on it. It's taken 5 years to really get to where I wanted it to be, but finally came to a place where I was like, I need to, release this art into the world and
Yeah,
be for others instead of just being for me.
I
So it was
completely
kind of
understand.
yeah, it was a lo-fi project. I found beats and connected with producers off of YouTube that were doing mainly instrumental lo-fi stuff. Connected with some cats, and yeah, did a 15-song project. Again, it's called Outside the Norm, and yeah, man.
That's fire. Can you talk about how you first started with music?
Yeah, absolutely. Um, Music's always been just kind of huge to my person. Like my parents, music was big for both of them. I have fond memories of being young and being in the car and listening to all sorts of music with my parents, from hip hop stuff to reggae to classic rock. I was pretty well versed in the different stuff that I liked. I got into making music when I was about 14 years old.
Mm.
Hip hop had always been part of my life, but I met with a buddy and we connected on some hip hop stuff. We met. I was writing down the lyrics to Lil Wayne's "Fireman." Sorry, what is that song? Fire. Yeah, is it Fireman?
Yeah, yeah.
I was writing the lyrics to that John down, sitting down in PE class as like a sixth grader, and this kid came up to me. He's like, start spitting the verse, and I said, "Shit, you know this too?" So we connected on some Wayne, and both were super interested in hip hop and the culture and rhyming and expressing ourselves in a creative way. And it just kind of started to tumble from there. We made our first track. It was kind of like a satire, goofy track. We were eighth grade kids. It was called White Boy Rap. And it was awful, but in hindsight, looking back at the record, we're like, damn, so there's a couple of these lines that were actually kind of cool, you know. And we could see the potential within ourselves. Him more on the production side as well as spitting, and then me more exclusively on the writing and spitting side. So yeah, that was. Well, I was 14 years old at that point. I'm 28 now, so it's been a long.
So 14 years of making music.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
How was the process like going on your own? You know, are you recording yourself? Are you in the studio? Like, how do you go about music?
Yeah, I've linked with a local professional. His name's Heather Gray. You can shout out. You can follow him on Instagram. He's a local Salt Lake cat that's done some big things with other industry heads as far as production and mixing and mastering goes. So I've been privileged enough to link up with him, and I record at his spot. Got professional equipment and a sound-treated room. So that's what I've been doing for the last two to 3 years.
Okay.
Before that, I was just bouncing around places, from recording with a buddy to looking for different spaces we could rent.
Okay. So you never really ventured out on your own, like recording yourself?
Not a whole lot. I did when I really first started getting serious about it, into my first year of college or so. I had my own setup with like a Yeti microphone, and that's where I did like a lot of my SoundCloud like building era and finding my sound and who influenced me and how I wanted to implement aspects of what they were doing into my own craft in different ways.
Let's unpack that real quick, man. Who inspired you, and like what were some of the ways that you implemented that into your own sound?
Sure. Looking like back to the more beginning of my timeline, I was huge inspired by reggae. Bob Marley, I think, is one of my biggest artist inspirations, beyond the music itself and drawing into my own music, but more on the side of who you're gonna be and who you are representing your art with, right? Because your art represents itself, but you also represent that art, and they're both reflections of each other. So that, I think, has always been a cornerstone for me, is just like, I make this art and this art's an expression of me, but I've got to make art that's reflective of who I really am and who I really want to be.
Absolutely, because if you don't do that, then what are you doing it for? You know what I'm saying?
Talk that talk. I don't think there's longevity without that piece.
Nah, not at all.
Yep.
What do you feel like has... Yeah, go ahead, bro.
Sorry, I'm getting lost in my own thoughts here, but Bob Marley was a huge one for me, younger. Again, as I started growing up for myself, and my pops was a big hip hop guy too. Listened to a lot of Jurassic 5, Snoop, a lot of cats. 50 Cent put me on to 50 Cent. I remember Get Rich or Die Trying was like a staple of my youth. And then for myself, again, Lil Wayne was a big one for me growing up. 50 Cent. As I started to get a little older and making my own craft, a couple names that stick out to me are like Common. He was another individual that I felt like,
that new album is crazy, man.
Oh, it's real crazy. I've been running that back every day. It's been the go-to spin back right now.
Yeah.
That's out Common, Pete Rock. That shit was crazy. It's needed, man. Needed in our culture to have such a soulful, genuine expression like that, man.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah. So yeah, he was another big person for me in my craft, and modeling my own artist self off of aspects of other people that I really appreciated. And Common's been a dude that, when he said shit that he didn't stand by younger in his career, he faced it and apologized and got right with people, and has always been about the people and the message and love and the culture and the music. And those are things I want my base to be standing on.
Well, with that said, what themes and message do you aim to convey, like, through your lyrics?
Yeah. I'm a real spiritual dude. So a big part of it for me, outside of, I do what I assume a lot of other artists do, and, write in memories or feelings or stories of memories I've got. But sorry, what was the question? I just tangent myself off of that.
Nah, you good, bro. I was asking, what message do you aim to convey through your lyrics?
My message. Yeah, I hear you. My message. I really, as opposed to like having a direct message I'm constantly trying to push, I think my message that I want to get across is self-reflection. And so it's less about, trying to convince my audience of something and more about putting my audience in a mind state of looking at themselves in a way that they might have not looked at before, or looking at a problem they may have been going through in a different way than they've processed it. Those are things I really want to get out of my music, and the impact it has is a real effect for people. I want people to hear my music and become better versions of themselves.
I feel that. And I can respect that. In this day and age, man, like the message we giving out to the youth, it has to be a message of love. It has to be a message of unity. It's
Absolutely.
very important, man, that like they understand that, because without each other, we can't do nothing.
Absolutely. And words are power, man. Like subconsciously or consciously, the shit we grew up listening to has affected where we're at now and how we look at the world and how we move. Yeah. And as artists in this generation, it's our job to carry that torch and pass it on in a correct and burning way to the next generation. You know what I mean?
So on that note, how do you feel about, the other side? Like having to go at bat against them. You know what I mean? Like glorifying other messages, glorifying other products, things like that. How is it when, you're trying to spread a positive message versus, what's popular? How do you feel? Sure.
I think right where I'm at right now in my career, I've kind of come to peace with that part of things, because I feel like I finally have cleared my own space where I don't feel like I'm in competition with those other people. But there were some years where, trap music and music was just what was popular was a different thing that wasn't resonant with what I do. And at that time, I was certainly bitter, and, I felt some other types of way about it. But I also understand that music and what's popular is going to change every couple years. You know what I mean? And what makes songs and lyricism strong is that shit can outstand the test of time, right? I can go back and listen to common songs from B and still hear new lyrics that I hadn't processed the same way when I was diving into the album 10 years ago. You know what I mean? Things like that.
Your life experiences, you know what I mean?
Absolutely. So yeah, man. I think there's room for everybody, but I think it also comes with, like I said, an accountability to know what it is you're saying, what that's not even promoting, but what you're standing on. You got to stand on your words.
Yeah, because I mean, whether you realize it or not, you're making this music to have fun and blah blah blah, but depending on how many times this person spins this record, you're now in somebody's subconscious mind. You know what I mean? Yep. And it's like, do you want to be a positive factor in it, or do you want to be like every other rapper that's here and gone 2 years from now? Like when you make timeless music and you're talking about timeless principles, timeless experiences, things like that, people are making memories to your music. You know what I mean? They're growing with your music. So, they appreciate your music in a sense of like, man, I remember what I was doing when I first heard this song, or like when I had that on repeat. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's a big reason I got into this thing, man. Is again, it's like I was lucky enough to have the foresight to be able to look in myself and see the influence that these black men, for the most part, had on my upbringing and perspective and views of life. And I was like, wow, this is so powerful. I want to affect other people positively in the same way and give that same thing back.
That's fire. How do you stay inspired and maintain authenticity?
Um, for me, man, I think it's nature. I live in Salt Lake City, Utah, as I kind of touched on in the beginning. But getting outside for me, man, if I can go to the lake or if I can go hike or even just go on a walk, the mountains are 15, 20 minutes away from my house. So I try to get outside as much as I can. And I always tell people it's like a blank slate for me, bro. I could have a full plate of shit going on in my life. And if I get up into the mountains and go hike, I'm just blank slated after. I feel so much better. My earthly worries and problems are just wet out of me.
Yep.
And I get back to the car at the end, rejuvenated. Yeah, blank slated,
Yep. It's like a reset, man.
Yep, absolutely. So nature, that's big for me. It's my keep me steady mentally, creatively, keep me inspired. That's my anchor.
Yeah, I'm in Florida, so mine is the beach. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So
I hear you.
I
and the
definitely
ocean,
understand.
same thing.
Yep. Can you talk about one of your most memorable collaborations and
Sure.
like what made it special to you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, so this last year I put a lot of energy into building bridges and doing feature work. And when that all started, one of the first cats I reached out to was Jay Skis of Drumwork.
Oh, okay.
He was one of the first cats that showed me some love and gave me the time of day, and was willing to negotiate with me on the pricing end to make something happen. And I've done a lot of feature work since then, and this always sticks out to me. He's a cat that I could feel the importance of the art was bigger than the importance of the paycheck to him. And that's something that feeling that without him telling me it, you know what I mean, meant a hell of a lot to me. So that was a couple years ago. I've now worked a couple tracks with him, and we've started to form a relationship. But that's someone I'd like to give a shout out to, and I really appreciate. And again, those are moments that they give yourself in your career validation and confidence to know, okay, I really am where I'm supposed to be, doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
Absolutely, man.
So shouts out to that, man. That's one that comes to mind for that.
You got to be grateful for all the opportunities, man, on the way up. During the come up, not everybody's going to mess with you. But out of those 100, questions you asking, one person's going to say, yeah. You know what I mean? You just got to keep shooting your shot. I wanted to ask you, how do you approach the creative process, like when writing a song?
Sure.
Do you do the hook first? Do you do the verse? Is it just like you go with the flow kind of thing? Explain that process.
So first for me, it all kind of starts with the beat or the production. So for me particularly, I'll be working with a producer, and I'll go through either a pack of beats that he sends me, or I'll be kicking it with the person and listening to beats. And I really don't try to think about what I want to write yet. I just really try to be present where I am in the now and really listen to the beat and focus on what those instruments and those melodies and what that beat is evoking out of me from a emotional or feeling standpoint, what that's actually evoking. Once I can kind of isolate that, like, oh, this shit's making me sad, or this shit's got me ready to fight somebody, or whatever it is. Once I have that kind of what's being evoked isolated, then I do what I call flow mapping, which is essentially just finding melody pockets to then write to, right? Just an easy way to explain it is like, what's that called? Scatting.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Kanye does that.
Yeah. It's just finding, and really what that does for me at least is it helps me formulate the areas where I need syllables, right? Because so much of this rap is pockets and syllables and how you're playing off of that. So I try to flow map, find a melody that fits into that beat, and then from there, typically the words come pretty natural. I think that might just have been with how long I've been doing this shit, but after I've got those two things cemented, then it's just a rinse and repeat, keep going until words kind of flow out.
Absolutely. Can you share a recent experience where you found unexpected inspiration?
Sure, absolutely. Let's see. Honestly, this tour opportunity, man, has been such a big inspiration and thing for me. It kind of came about through linking with DJ M80. He's a Buffalo producer, does mixing, mastering, engineering, all whole nine yards. He reached out to me from a couple. I think he found me from some Instagram paid promotion I was doing, not knowing if those dollars are getting anywhere to the right people, right? Just keeping my fingers crossed. And that man found me, and we started to build, and we're doing a project together. And I literally just like we said earlier, man, planting seeds and taking shots.
Yeah.
I asked him, you have any connections to any sort of touring opportunities or anything I can do to set myself on better track to get some of these opportunities? And, man just really opened up the floodgates for me and gave his cosign to my art. And it's now put me in a place where, again, I've got the opportunity to really make a big impression in front of some big eyes and ears.
Yeah.
And a lot of them.
I mean, not a lot of people get that chance, man. So it's amazing when you can, connect with somebody and they can put you in position.
Yeah, it's truly a blessing. And I've mentioned this to you earlier, like being an artist yourself, there's so many points in our career where that's all we need, right? If we just were to have the stepping stool to this next little spot, we got everything else covered. We've done the work to prepare for takeoff. We just need the jet fuel, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And that on the devil's advocate side, that can be an excuse for a lot of artists to not work out the shit they need to be working on.
For sure.
But I made sure I was taking accountability in my craft to where I was setting myself up for a point where if I was to get any sort of help or opening of doors or connections or bridges, I was going to capitalize on that. Absolutely.
Every time you have to, and you got to be ready, It's got to be an automatic thing, because if you're not careful, you're going to burn those bridges and, miss those opportunities.
Yeah, there's a lot of risk involved, man. Like, as I've gotten friends my age that are getting older and talking about investing, into stocks and into different things with me and my craft and what I'm focused on, I just invest any extra money I have right back into this, brother. Yeah. And since I started doing that as if I was investing in the stock market or as if I was day trading, what I have seen from those investments over, now I'm looking back at a year period, is way more growth than I've ever seen ever in my career. So again, it's just taking shots, man, over and over.
Speaking of that, man, I want to go back to something that you said. You know what I mean? You said you were giving some money in Instagram ads. What was that process like for you as an independent artist? You know what I mean? I don't know your financial situation, but when you're on the independent route, every dollar counts for sure. Talk about that for me real quick.
It just came a point probably about maybe a year or just over a year ago where I realized that just to be a great artist isn't going to do it. That's not going to be enough to get me to my goals, my impact, where I want to be at. So if I wanted to get there, I needed to start mastering the hats of social media, right?
Yep.
I mastered the hat of writing and finding beats and making connections with these cats, and done that. But now I need to figure out how to market myself in a way where I can get all that craft and that value to yours.
Mm-hmm.
So about 6 months ago, I said, fuck it, man. Any extra money I have, I'm gonna dump it into an Instagram ad for something that I know is a more high quality piece of content. Or if I've got a show going on, I do ads behind the flyer. I think what really opened me, and again, it was just taking a bunch of shots. There was 3 or 4 different investments for paid promo I did that didn't yield me anything. You know what I mean?
Like what were they? Put them on blast so everybody could kind of understand. I mean, not like in that sense, but just so they understand like what probably is a waste of time for them. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I guess speaking to that, I would say this: as soon as I started putting money into Instagram ads, my DMs then became flooded with the scam accounts and the hey man, I'm a local DJ for Blah-de-da Radio. Let me get you on, put your song on the radio for $200. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to be flooded with those options. And I guess the biggest gem I have for curbing those would be if you're on Instagram and you're looking for red flags of an account, I always go to like the about that account on the top right of their page, and you can see typically how many times they've changed their like profile name or their username. And some of these accounts that you're like, is this real? You'll go check that, and they've changed their username 6 times, and then they're obviously asking for money. It's basic red flag kind of things, but that can be discouraging. Yeah, man, that can be discouraging too. You know, when I was at a point where I'm putting in my own money, and all that I'm really seeing back isn't value from those posts immediately, or more people liking my shit or following me. It was hundreds of folks trying to get more money out of me for a scam. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that was discouraging. But again, it just goes back to keep taking shots. I kept doing promo. I kept reaching out and planting seeds with people. I connected with Mickey Fax, and I did some bar breakdowns with him for a couple of my verses. Yeah, really opened up the gates to some folks I hadn't met before, like DJ M80, for example. So just keep taking shots, bro. That's all you got to do. If you're not willing to invest in yourself, why would anyone invest in you?
Yeah, that's absolute. How do you manage the business side of your career and not let it take over like the artistic side?
Sure. Honestly, that's something I'm more getting into the realm of now, as I'm starting to create like a merchandise company for my brand, and focusing more on my brand again than my artistry. So it's something I'm learning as I go, but I just try to take calculated risk and smart risk. And I try to do things in a scalable way. Like with my merch, I'm not buying 200 shirts out the gates because I don't know if 200 people want to buy my shirt. I'm doing an order of 30 shirts. Then it's more exclusive. People want it more because there's less of it to have. Absolutely. I can control the pricing better. And then if it sells out, I'm in a position where now I can do an order for 200 shirts. And I don't have 75, 100 shirts sitting in my closet in a box never being sold.
Yeah. Are you bringing some of the merch to the tour stops?
Yeah, I am. I will be. It'll be my first time kind of actually opening up.
Are they charging you for a table?
I think we're working out some sort of percentage.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
That's cool.
But yeah, man, I'm really excited. I just got stickers that came in yesterday, actually, with little QR codes. So
that's dope, yeah, man. I know once people see the vision, man, you know, they're going to be wanting to support. And, you know, it's also an alternative way for you to support the artistry, too. I think it's very important for artists to, you know, have their own side hustles, not necessarily to make money off of, but just like, you know, to keep doing the things that they want to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you have a love for making clothes and like you want to wear your own clothes, why not make clothes and sell it so you can make money and make more clothes? You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
It just makes sense. And that's good intuition that you can like pick up on that and scale.
I appreciate that, bro. I mean, yeah, like I said, I might be talking like I've got a lot of answers, but I'm just speaking from the little I've done. And I've got so much more to learn, and I'm going to take hella more losses before I get to where I need to be. But I just know that I'm on a track of motion now, and there's not shit stopping the motion.
Nah, I feel it, bro. And you gotta make sure that flow continuously stays going, no matter what. Like once you feel you losing it, you know, you got to keep the lights on, man, because I done been in seasons to where I lost it, and it's like, you don't realize you're losing it, but then you lose it, and it's like, what the fuck? Like, how do I get that shit back, you know? So then you realize how important, you realize how important it is to always, no matter what, just keep at it, man. What advice would you give other upcoming artists trying to go the independent route?
Know your why. I think this is something I've stood on for the whole 14 years I've been doing my craft, is my why, and we touched on it a little earlier with me, but know why you're doing what you're doing, right? Because
Hmm.
when shit gets hard and when you are at ground zero and you need to bounce back, if you don't have a strong ass why I'm doing this, I don't know if it'll be enough for you to bounce back. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Your purpose has got to be big. It's got to be bold. It's got to be solidified in your soul and your heart. You know what I mean? And for some people and their situations and where they've come from, that can just be money and monetary. And I don't really come from a lot of money, but for me, that wasn't enough. My why is impact. Again, I want to be Bob Marley big. I want to change the world with the words I got to say.
Hmm.
And so I can get faced with anything that's going to try to stop me from that. And nothing that's going to try to stop me from that is bigger than that
Finesse,
is.
baby.
Absolutely. When you have that mindset, man, it's like you kind of go into things differently as far as like problem solving wise. You know what I mean? Like you're
Yeah,
looking for a solution to actually stop the problem. You know what I mean? And
absolutely.
it's
I
from a
think
place of love to where like you're not trying to step on nobody to get where you want to be. You understand? You know, there's money for everybody.
I totally agree. And I've been on the other side of that too. There's a lot of years in my early career where I was in victim mode, bro, playing I'm so good. Why doesn't anyone see that or see me or want to invest in me or want to do this? And why aren't I getting these opportunities? And when you focus on the why you don't have shit, all it does is perpetuate more shit you're not gonna have or
Yep.
obstacles for you to overcome. When you lose that perspective and really ground yourself on what you do have, what you are doing, and where that's taking you, where you know that you're setting yourself up for that to take you, that's when shit stops being roadblocks and starts being open doors.
Hell yeah. What's some advice that you would give a younger version of yourself?
Oh, I like that. Hmm. Uh, be fearless in your intuition. I've been lucky enough to be in a place and musically and in my career where I've been brave enough to stick with my intuition through the whole time I've had this dream. But that doesn't mean that there haven't been points where I had to let me see how to articulate this. I have faced roadblocks that I put in front of myself
Mm-hmm.
because I didn't fully commit to what my vision or my intuition or my soul or my gold soul was pulling me to be or do. And when
Finesse,
you
baby.
half step, again, it's a longer course.
Yeah.
So have the wherewithal and have the courage to be able to face your adversities, not try to pivot around them.
Yeah, it's important, man, seeing things for what it is and just being realistic with yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
It avoids a lot of wasting money, time,
Yeah,
and energy.
absolutely.
How do you stay up to date with like trends and things going on like in the TikTok world and the internet and stuff like that? Do you participate or?
Yeah. Not as much as I need to with trends. There was right now my main platform I utilize is Instagram. I do have TikTok and YouTube Shorts and X and Threads, other things.
Is there anything you want to say to your fans, bro, before you get off here?
Yeah, man. Well, first of all, I want to thank you, brother. Just in the brief time I've been able to connect with you, you've been nothing but genuine and real and supportive and opened up your doors to me, and that means a hell of a lot to me.
I appreciate
So
you,
I
man.
want to thank you for that. Yeah.
No doubt, bro.
And
No doubt.
for audience, again, I'm Granola. I'm about being the best version of yourself, being authentic, using your vulnerability as power, and transforming other people's lives from the way you live. So follow me on all socials, all platforms. We got big things coming, from shows to films to big things coming, man. Stay tuned.
Absolutely. And where can they find you on Instagram?
Yep, Instagram handle is Granola. That's GRVNOLA. So that first A is a V. Again, GRVNOLA, and that's on all platforms: TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, whole 9 yards.
Fire, fire. Hey man, well I appreciate you stopping by, man, giving people some of this game.
I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for having me. It's been a blessing.
No doubt.